Oh, Ashton, I'm pretty close there. All right, how are we doing today, Ashton? I'm on page 88 today in your math book. The section titled On Your Own. I'm a little blurry there. Sorry about that. Ideally, we would be doing this section on your own. So I broke the lesson into 2 days because I think it's a lot for one day. And I still want you to get the practice, but I want you to make sure that you're not getting overloaded either. So we're on day 2 of the same lesson 4, and we're on the On Your Own section number 14. So I'm going to flip this around. Zoom it in a little bit. There we are. Okay, so we've got what's called an open-ended question, which basically means they want you to design the question. So there's an expression here that says 10.5 divided by 5.5. What could that question be? What could those numbers mean? Well, they could mean lots of things. That could be a length of ribbon, 10.5 feet long, that it's cut into 5.5 foot long sections. It could be fishing line for your fishing pole. It might come on a reel that's a spool that's 10.5 feet long, and you want 5.5 feet of line for your fishing rod. Okay. I like food, so I'm going to make mine about food. Okay. How many five-and-a-half foot long subs could you make from one giant sub that is 10.5 feet long? Okay, so imagine you're having a party, a Super Bowl party, a birthday party, something, and you get this gigantic 10.5 foot long sub, and you want to split it into 5.5 foot long sections. How many of those could be created? So we set up the division problem: 10.5 divided by 5.5. Okay, and I rename that as 21 halves times 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11, so that's 2 over 11. I cross those out and make 1 each, so then I'm left with 21 over 11, which goes in 1 time, and 10 and 11. 10 elevenths. 1 and 10 elevenths would be my answer. Okay? Just something to get your brain thinking about what those numbers mean when you're reading these word problems. Okay? Alright. Number 15 says, Jack mails 10 packages that each weigh the same amount. If the combined weight of all 10 packages is 67.5 pounds, how much does one package weigh? Show your work. Okay? So we've got here 67.5 divided by the number of packages, which is 10. Okay? Now 67.5, I would have to multiply 67 times 2. Can you see what I see? No. There we go. 67 times 2. 134 plus 1 more. So that's 135 over 2 times 10 over 1 becomes 1 over 10. So that's 135 over 20. Now I could have simplified that in this step by dividing both numbers by 5, but I kind of like leaving it this way for this problem because 20s are easier for me to count by. So I know that 20 goes into 135. Let's see. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 is 5. 6 would be 120. So that equals 6 holes with 15 remaining out of the 20. So that's 6 and 15 twentieths. Now if I divide the top and bottom by 5, I would get 6 and 3/4. Okay, so that's 6 and 3/4 pounds. Okay, 6 and 3/4. All right, Ashton. All right, number 16 now says Peter is building a fence. If each section is 4.5 feet long, how many sections will there be in the finished fence shown? So we have to make sure we're using the picture for these. So sometimes it doesn't seem like there's enough information in the problem, but that's because they're asking you to use the graphic over here. So we have 38 1/4, and that's being divided into 4.5 foot long sections. 4 1/2. How many sections will there be in the finished fence? Okay. Well, 38 times 4. Let's see. That is. I could probably do it in my head, but I'm going to write it over here. 38 times 4 is 32. 152 plus one more is 153 over 4 times 2 times 4 is 8 plus one more is 9. Flip that around and I get 2/9. Okay, I'm going to simplify that. 2 becomes 1, 4 becomes 2. Alright, so this leaves me 153 times 1 and 2 times 9. One of the things I know about 9s is that if I add up the digits in this problem, 1, 5, and 3, and they equal 9, that it's divisible by 9, and it'll come out evenly without a remainder. So I could divide and simplify now, or I could just go ahead and multiply across 153 divided by 18, and then solve that way. Okay, I'm going to need to pull out a second sheet of paper here because I'm running low on room. 153 divided by 18. I can't quite do 10. Let's start with 5. That would be 80. No, sorry, 90. I'm left with 63. Does that sound right? Did I goof that up? 153. Something doesn't seem right here. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Ashton. I had to, something wasn't seeming right to me, so I had to take a moment and double check myself here. 153 divided by 18 would go in, let's see, 8 times would be 64. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 6 more is 14. So I'm left with 9. So 8 and 9/18, which would simplify to 8 1/2. Okay, so here, how many sections will there be in the finished fence shown? 8.5 sections. Okay. All right, number 17. Jill has a pail of water that holds 6.5 quarts. She needs to give some plants 1/8 quart each. How many plants can she water? Okay, 6.5 divided by 1/8. My brain needs a break after that last problem. 6.5 would be 13 halves times 8 over 1. So 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 8 4 times. So that's 13 times 4 is 52 over 1. So she could do 52 plants. Up here it should have been 8.5 sections. That label is important, right? Okay. So Ashton, I'll give you a moment to do the calculations on the bottom for numbers 18 through 23, and then we'll come back and you can check your answer. Okay, what I did this time, so it's a little bit more clear for you, I think some of my work is getting a little sloppy up there. I did my calculations on a separate sheet of paper, and I just now am showing you my answers, so that way you can hopefully see them a little bit more clearly. If anything does not make sense to you, or if you got a different answer and you want to discuss it, then let's talk about it during that 2:30 to 3 o'clock time today. Remember, that time is available to you. You don't have to log in at that time, but if you have any specific questions, that's the time to do it. Okay? Now, we did pages 85, 86, 87, and now 88 together. Okay, so in your book, hopefully you've got all those pages completed in your book, so that's evidence of you completing that work. Okay, what I would like you to do is, now that we've finished the lesson together, I want you now to complete the lesson 3.4, more practice and homework, on page 89 and 90. Okay, this will be your work that you'll complete independently without my help, and it's just a check of how well you were able to understand what we learned in the lesson today. Okay, so this is the only page that needs to be submitted to me. You only need to show me page 89 and 90. I'm not going to show you any answers to this. I want you to do it on your own and then provide me with the evidence that you completed it. Okay, so that's page 89 and 90 in your math book, and that'll be due by, let's say today is Tuesday, so let's have that due by the end of the day today, and we'll be starting a new lesson tomorrow. Okay? Please let me know how this is going for you, Ashton. I like the videos myself because it allows you to access them when and where you need them, and you can go back. But if that's not working for you, we'll have to figure out a way to make it work so that you can be making this meaningful and making sure that you're learning everything that you need to learn. Okay? All right. Well, we will see you the next time, Ashton. Have a good day.